All right, so we've made it down to Meers Junction. Um, this is new. I've added a passing siding here. A little dark under here right now, but you can see the 268 sitting there. It's out on a work train. And then the actual junction here at Meers Junction. Here's the spur here. It's just going to be a staging track, but that's going to represent where traffic for Alamosa will go and kind of terminate, and then cars will come back out that are due for Salida and Gunnison. Just kind of an overhead view on the opposite side of the helix. You can see the inside where the staging for the Alamosa Valley line is. But once you make your way around the helix and kind of get up to the top, you're getting closer to where Marshall Pass will reside. And this is something that was a recent addition. It was a nice little, scratch build, just small trestle bridge that was a really fun project, and had to put it in here somewhere, so found a space over here. This is really not too far from where Marshall Pass is going to be. Now, I am revising some of my ambitions. Instead of going high with Marshall Pass, I'm bringing it down, and you can kind of see in relation from where that upper deck is down here to Sargent. It's come down significantly. I still need to bring that piece down, and the big change is that here at this section, right above Sargent, right above the Y, is where Marshall Pass will be. So the line coming from Salida on your left here will then enter a big horseshoe curve like we're all familiar with at Marshall Pass, and transition to this side of the wall, and that upper deck is going to come down and meet Marshall Pass on the other side, and then start the downhill journey towards Gunnison. And this section sits over the east end of the Gunnison Yards here, and you can kind of see, quick snapshot there. There's a yard limit, and see a few cars on a siding. There's ultimately going to be a little lumber operation there, but for now we've got caboose storage and a maintenance away car stored there. Okay, so we've kind of left the Marshall Pass area, and again, as I said, this upper deck is going to come down. You can see the pencil mark of where that's going to be. So if you take that pencil mark in relation to where you see some of the rolling stock here in Gunnison, it's coming down significantly, and it's going to make things a little bit easier from the operational side as far as operating trains and just keeping an eye on things. But you can see this section here, it's going to come down some, as I just mentioned, but coming around this curve, you are actually getting close to Shawano, and you can see in relation to the rest of the layout, you're right above Gunnison and Salida. So it's point to point. Salida's the lower deck there, Gunnison's the mid deck, and then the Marshall Pass main line is the upper deck here. So currently the end of track, until I get this section pulled down, is up here at Shawano. All right, so at Shawano, there's a pretty decent sized passing siding, as there was on the prototype. And you can kind of see the view looking upgrade towards Marshall Pass. Added a really cool derail. This is something that was pretty common practice on the DNRGW, and just a detail I wanted to add. So there it is. But as we turn this way, And you can see some trees that I have. This is not anything permanent. It's just something I wanted to just kind of put a few in just to kind of see how they look in relation to maybe the scene, and just kind of get a feel for where I might go with some of the scenery here. But that's looking westbound, downgrade towards Gunnison. All right, we're starting downgrade again towards Sargent and Gunnison. And you can see as we leave Shawano, if you look down, we're over Salida West Yard there. And then below that, you see the standard gauge yard in Salida. So still 3 levels here. And again, we see a few trees. Again, just kind of placeholders and just playing around with them. See over here on the shelf, I've got a small forest that will definitely come in handy very soon. And I've also got several boxes still full of trees, so looking forward to utilizing them. Gonna need a lot more aspen trees though. All right, this is the grade heading down, like I said, towards Sargent and Gunnison. Just some more trees kind of in storage. And as we come around to this side, and again, to give you some context, there's the yard limit for Salida where we were leaving Salida earlier. You can see those industries. But I did a little bit of change up at Chester. This is Chester. There was a pretty significant siding here. Just a useful storage place. It was only a few miles out of Sargent, and Sargent was not a very big yard. So I did add the 3rd track, which was a spur, again, just for car storage. So we see quite a few cars currently being stored at Chester. Just biding time until I can get some more yard space in Salida and start some operations. But we do see some interesting equipment here at Chester. This is just looking upgrade eastbound back towards Marshall Pass at Chester. And you can see where the spur takes off to the right from the siding. And then as we come down here, there's the switch for the siding. Do a 180, and as you leave Chester, I do have a trestle that I put in here. This was something that I acquired from a friend of mine, Tom Troughton, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And I was able to acquire a few pieces of his handiwork. So I was really thrilled to acquire this trestle. And although I had to obviously re-gauge it for ON3 from SN3, it still works and really adds a lot to what will be a really neat scene here. We continue to head downgrade. Again, we see a lot more trees down here. Probably won't be as many trees here, but there's going to be a hillside, and the helix will be hidden, except for right here, the top level of the helix will be exposed, and there'll be scenery. So kind of right there where the curve, kind of comes out from under the other deck, trains will emerge. And then you'll be able to see trains go around the top level of the helix and then on to Marshall Pass. So down here, this is tank 7. I do have a couple structures here. Water tank. Acquired a really cool maintenance away building. Have a scratch built coal station or coal bunker, whatever you want to call it, sitting there. A few other little odds and ends, but just kind of getting a rough idea of what I may do here. Now, there was a spur at Tank 7. I'm choosing to model the spur here as a disconnected siding with a couple cars that were just left there for storage purposes and, for the maintenance away crews that'll, maintain the track between here and Marshall Pass. So it's what we kind of see here, and may end up doing something with the track gang crew here in the final scene, but we'll see how that shakes out. But you can see the main line here heading towards Sargent and ultimately Gunnison. So from this area, if I turn around, that's the door that comes into the building here. And so the first thing you're going to see is really the Tank 7 area. You'll see the top level of the helix on the way to Marshall Pass, and then off to the right you'll see a good portion of the Gunnison yard and the Salida yard below it. We're curving around here, and I did want to comment on this. This is just a cutout from a magazine article that a good friend did. He was helping me with some scratch built stock cars, and in order to facilitate the build for the stock cars, he made this really cool display here, scale drawings and just information on the stock cars. So it's just a useful tool when doing a scratch build. And I've got about 12 stock cars that I'm currently building. You can see the line here, and there's the yard limit for Sargent, and we're nearing the end of the line. So